Next in this session, we're going to take a look at dividing fractions together. Once again, as a review from your earlier years, when you have fractions and you're dividing one fraction by another, the shortcut or the method with which to do that is you leave your first fraction alone. So here's our example, a over b divided by c over d. We leave a over b alone and rewrite it. But then what we do is we change our division symbol to a multiplication symbol, and then we take c over d. We take our second fraction and flip it, invert it, so that the d comes up on top and the c goes on bottom. That's called taking its reciprocal. A over b divided by c over d is the same thing as a over b times the reciprocal of c over d. What's the reciprocal of c over d? Well, it's d over c. And if you remember, a reciprocal is two numbers that when multiplied together give us 1. So quickly, if I were to say 2 over 11, what's the reciprocal of 2 over 11? Well, it's the number that once you multiply it by 2 over 11 gives you 1. Well, instead of having to always have to figure out what that number is, there's a shortcut. The reciprocal of this number is simply flipping it around. You take your denominator and bring it up top, so your 11 from your denominator now comes up top, and then your 2 in your numerator goes down bottom. So what's the reciprocal of 2 over 11? It's 11 over 2. What would the reciprocal of 3 over 4 be? Well, it would be 4 over 3. You simply invert them or flip them. But if you were to go ahead and calculate out the multiplication, remember when you multiply fractions together, you multiply numerators and denominators, you're going to get, in this case, 22 over 22. 2 times 11 is 22, 11 times 2 is 22. 22 over 22 is 1. Same up here, 3 over 4 times 4 over 3 is going to be 12 over 12, which is the same thing as 1. So we can see that to find the reciprocal of a number, you simply take that number, make a fraction out of it if it's not already a fraction, and then you invert it. You flip the top and bottom, and that becomes your reciprocal. And if you were to carry out the multiplication then, you would find out that any number times its reciprocal does in fact equal 1. Well, let's come over here and take a look at this question. 6 over 13 divided by 2 over 11. Well, let's go ahead and rewrite that. That's going to be 6 over 13. Now remember, when we're dividing fractions together, we leave our first fraction alone, but then we take our second fraction and then invert it. We flip it, or we write its reciprocal, which is 11 over 2. And then we change our division symbol to a multiplication symbol. At this point, we then can go ahead and multiply, but it's oftentimes helpful to go ahead and reduce, or I shouldn't say reduce, cancel out any common factors before we multiply. Well, there's no common factor here with the 11 and the 13. These are both prime, but we do have a common factor with our 2 and our 6. They're both divisible by 2. So we're going to cross out the 2 and make a 1, and we're going to cross out this 6 and write a 3. We are now ready to multiply. 3 times 11 is 33. That takes care of our numerator. Our denominator, 13 times 1, is 13. So 6 over 13 divided by 2 over 11 equals 33 over 13. Next, we're going to divide using algebraic fractions. In the preceding example, it was just a simple arithmetic fraction that was being divided with another one. Here, we now have algebraic fractions. So let's go ahead and address these. First of all, we're just going to rewrite this. 2x over 9. We're going to change our division symbol to a multiplication symbol, because that's how we divide fractions. And then we're going to flip these two. We're going to invert it or write the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 3x minus 2 over 5? Well, it's 5 over 3x minus 2. At this point, we can now go ahead and multiply. There are no other common factors that we can factor out. So when you multiply fractions, you multiply numerators together and denominators. 2x times 5 is 10x. In the denominator, 9 times 3x minus 2. And in algebra, oftentimes they would want you to leave this in a factored form. That's why I did not go ahead and multiply them out. If I wanted to multiply it out, I would use my distributive property, go 9 times 3x to get 27x, 9 times minus 2 to get minus 18. That would then give us 27x minus 18 on the bottom. But like I said, oftentimes they'd like you to leave it in a factored form, so that's how we'll do it here. So what our answer is 10x over 9 times 3x minus 2. Do one more down here. X squared plus 4x plus 4. Let's go ahead and rewrite that. We're going to leave the x squared plus 4x plus 4 over 2 alone on the left-hand side. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change our division symbol to a multiplication symbol. And we're going to invert or flip the second fraction by writing down its reciprocal, which will be 3 over x plus 2. Now at this stage we could go ahead and perform the multiplication, but there is a way for us to cancel out some common factors. So let's go ahead and do that first. Let's take a look here at our polynomial x squared plus 4x plus 4 that's up here in this numerator. If you look at that, there is a way to factor that. We're going to have x there as our first term in our first polynomial, and x is our first term in the second. X times x is going to give us our x squared. Let's take a look here at 4. Well, our factors of 4 are 1, 4, 2, and 2. Well, we want factors of 4 that when we multiply it out using the distributive property are going to give us a plus 4x. We can do that by going x plus 2 times x plus 2. That 2 times 2 takes care of the 4. And then if we were to go 2 times x, that's 2x. This 2 times that x is 4x. That takes care of that. So x squared plus 4x plus 4, written in factored form, is x plus 2 times x plus 2. We can now write our denominator, which is 2. That's going to be multiplied by our second fraction, which is 6 over x plus 2. Taking a look now, we can now cancel even further. That x plus 2 cancels with that x plus 2. We're just left with a 1 there. Our 2 and 6 both have 2 as a factor, so that leaves 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. We can now go ahead and perform the multiplication. 1 times x plus 2 is x plus 2 times 3. So we have x plus 2 times 3 on top, and on bottom we have 1 times 1, which is 1. So our answer here is x plus 2 times 3. And if we were just to drop our 1 and rewrite it with the 3 out front, we would have 3 times x plus 2. That is the answer to x squared plus 4x plus 4 over 2 divided by x plus 2 over 6. So remember here what we did in this problem. We rewrote it. We changed our division to a multiplication and flipped this second fraction by making its reciprocal. We then took a look. We saw that this polynomial over here could be factored, so we did that. We then canceled common factors, which left us with 3 times x plus 2. As a review, two numbers are reciprocals of each other if their products are 1. Dividing by a certain number is the same thing as multiplying by that number's reciprocal. And then in written form here, a over b, a over b divided by c over d is the same thing as a over b times the reciprocal of c over d, which is d over c. That'll finish up then session 78.